Hey, 'tis the season to give the perfect gift. C60 Evo organic oil elixirs and facial serum sets. And here with another sleep tip is our good pal, Chris Burrows, co-founder and chief scientist at C60 Evo. Hey, Chris, welcome back.
Richard, thank you so much for having me. My next tip regarding getting better sleep is related to electronic devices. So we all have these, this cell phone lying around, or we're using it on a regular basis. What a lot of people don't realize is that those devices give off blue light. That blue light is actually tells our bodies, the only time naturally that we see blue light is at the peak of the sun. So when the sun is up at its peak at noon. And so what those devices do, including your computer terminals, your cell phones, your tablets, is they convince our physiology that it's the middle of the day. You can imagine that if you're watching your cell phone or tablet at 10 p.m. and you've somehow convinced your physiology that it's the middle of the day, this is not good for sleep. So it's really important. Most devices have actually blue light blockers, and you can just go out and Google and how to blue light block on my Samsung device or Apple device, or even on your PC or your Mac. Make sure you turn that on. I know people who leave it on all day so that they're never impacted by that blue light. I would recommend 2 hours before the sun is setting in your local area to turn that on. Obviously it doesn't work if you're working on videos or you're working on pictures, but try and turn that on 2 hours early. And the other thing regarding electronic devices, try to keep them out of the bedroom. I recommend that you actually put a charging station outside of your bedroom so that you just don't even bring it in your bedroom. These devices, as we've kind of been reading and hearing, are like geared to trigger our endorphin responses, and so we like to be on them. They keep them up. So keep it out of the bedroom and make sure you got your blue light blocker on about 2 hours before the sun sets. And I always like sharing sleep tips, because our most consistent testimonial for our product is that people take it in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night.
C60 Evo products deliver noticeable benefits to people and pets around the world. Immunity boost, deeper sleep, just like Chris said, more energy, mental balance, flexibility, and longevity. Please visit the website c60evo.com/Richard-Serrett. And don't forget, use the coupon code EVRS at checkout, EVRS at checkout, and then you save an extra 10%. That can't wait. All right, Chris, we'll talk again next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard Serrett's Strange Planet, following the truth wherever it leads, exposing evil and corruption and the secret machinations of powerful elites, revealing the high strangeness beneath the surface of our supposed reality, coming to you from the Great White North and his studio beneath the stairs. Here's Richard.
Show with Richard Serrett from Zoomer Radio, AM 740.
And welcome to the Audio Imaginarium. Come on in, weary traveler. Hang your cloak on a peg, grab a stool, and come gather around the fire. There are stories to be told, and you are among friends. Carlos Cagina is our technical producer, and Ryan White is our live stream producer. Be sure to check out my YouTube channel, Strange Planet, and my Rumble channel, Richard Serrett Strange Planet. And if you haven't watched this radio program, that's right, you can watch this radio program on either of those two channels. If you haven't already checked it out, tonight would be a really good night, because Crop Circle filmmaker Patty Greer is here, and she brought loads of fantastic pictures of crop circles and photos of her behind the scenes working on one of her crop circle films in England. And those photos will pop up during the live stream. And if you're listening on the radio, the old-fashioned way, or streaming audio in some other fashion, we'll do our best to paint mental pictures with our words. Patty Greer is here for the full 2 hours. Apologies to those affiliates which only carry the first hour, but 1 hour is better than nothing. And Patty is here to decode crop circles and reveal the hidden information contained in these amazing geometric designs. They're not all geometric. Many of them are. They're found in farmers' fields all over the world, but predominantly in England and France and a few here in Canada. These agriglyphs, as they're also known, appear to be formed almost instantaneously by intelligent balls of light. Patty's caught that on camera, and we'll play a video clip from one of her films on the live stream. Again, we'll do our best to describe it for those of you listening on the radio or streaming the audio. Patty Greer is a prominent crop circle filmmaker who has produced 8 full-length crop circle films in 10 years. Her movies have received 8 prestigious awards, including 5 EBEs at the International UFO Congress. Her films show footage of crop circles being produced by spinning plasma fields that appear to humans as balls of light. Patty's conclusion, after visiting the lab of scientist William Levengood, is that crop circles are produced by counter-rotating, spinning plasma vortices coming out of the Earth. In her films, she also explains how seeds from crop circle formations are growing 30 to 400% more food and biofuel per plant, with up to 75% more nutrition per seed. Her film Crop Circle Diaries received 2 EBE awards at the 2017 International UFO Congress for Best UFO Feature Film and People's Choice Award, and her website is cropcirclefilms.com. Patty Greer, welcome back. How are you?
Thank you. You hit all the punchlines, which is great because some people might not make it all the way through 2 hours, which is a lot of information. But I think that the punchline of why crop circles are important is that they're growing 30 to 400% more food and biofuel per plant.
Well, that could come in handy as we're facing possible food shortages, not in some distant future, but right now for obvious reasons. Let me ask you, I mentioned the UFO Congress. That's where we first met. I think it was around 2011, I believe, in February 2011, where we first met. And at that point, I still thought, erroneously, that crop circles and UFOs were sort of, one and the same. They were linked, inextricably linked. And you, of course, over the years have disabused me of that. But when you first went over to England, what did you know about crop circles? Did you also think that they had something to do with UFOs?
I knew nothing. I absolutely knew nothing about crop circles. And I went over because I was desperate to heal from mercury poisoning from a bad dentist. And I was looking for a cure and gave up on humans and tried, what was supposedly some miracle was to go and be in a crop circle. So in 2006, I went over there really knowing nothing other than help. I need to heal, and I gave up on medical humans. And it didn't heal my hands in the long run, but it certainly did distract me from the reality that I thought was my life.
So you went over to England for the specific purpose of finding a crop circle, laying down in the middle of it, and hoping, for some miraculous healing.
Yeah, that was my intent. And, it was a dream, but again, I didn't research, I didn't watch documentaries, I didn't really do much of anything other than start to make plans, reservations, and found somebody in the family that would go with me. So it was a virgin tour, and the very first crop circle we went in was so alarming that you could actually feel it. And all we knew was go in the 5th tractor line to the left of when you climb over the fence there in a broken tree limb. I mean, very earth directions to get into a crop circle, basic. And just keep walking is what we were told. And that first crop circle, I mean, I could feel it 10 feet before we got there, just took our breath away.
What'd you
then
feel?
There was this, it was like all the hairs went up on my body, and I'm a girl, so little teeny hairs, but I could feel every goosebump. I mean, head to toe. It was like the frequency all around me had shifted, and literally, most likely, it's the electromagnetic field. But I'm not going to pretend to be a physicist or biologist or anything. I'm not. And there's also a difference between experiencer and researcher. I was an experiencer, and I've been in more than 100 crop circles. I would still say I'm an experiencer, not a researcher.
All right. How soon after you stepped foot in that first crop circle did you pick up a camera and decide to start making films?
I came back the next year by myself, literally just to be in the crop circles. I had no idea I was going to make movies. And by the end of summer, I went to the seminar where all the great speakers were in a lineup for a couple days in a row, and I realized I knew all of them because I'd been in the formations with them all summer long. And so I hired the crew that was filming the event to film me and all those people that I chose. A couple days later, and next thing I knew, I made my first film, which was the wake-up call. Anybody listening? ? And for the people that are on live stream, which I'm being very casual, here is the very first movie, The Wake-Up Call. Anybody listening? And oh my gosh, it was so raw, natural, fresh, like, you know, first time anybody seeing a crop circle or being in it. That's what this movie is about. It was all of us being there in the formations live. It was incredible.
And how soon before you were renting planes and flying over them and hanging out the window with your camera?
As you know, yeah, there was no window. There was a missing door. The very next year, in 2007, I hired a film crew that was there at the event filming. And 2008, I came back with my editor's camera, and he said, "You can do it." And from then on, I was filming all the crop circles in England, and I was there for 9 weeks, a couple summers in a row, to really dig in. And I forgot about healing and doing it for myself, but I was just absolutely in awe of my experiences, and also the magic there in England compared to America. You know, here we're so focused on clean cars and clean homes and fancy clothes. And in England, it was very druid energy, and the homes there were spider webs, there were spiders welcomed. There were a lot more open witches, or they called themselves that, but there was a pride with being people that work with the earth. And I think that that's why the earth is so alive there and welcoming the crop circles, is that the people are also of a higher frequency when it comes to honoring the land than we are here in Cement City, America. And you're in Canada. It's pretty Cement City compared to the farmlands of England.
Right, right. And when did you start hearing people over in England start talking about how, if you ask them to come, they'll make a crop circle right there in front of you? When did you start hearing about these sorts of reports?
Oh, great question. My first film, I had spent the summer. Let's pull up the first photo, because we're like 3 photos in as we're talking, where we could be looking at some of the pictures that I sent. Do we have Ryan available with the pictures?
Yes, Ryan, yes. Now, there'll be a delay on the live stream as you and I are talking, but the people watching the live stream will see it, obviously, as soon as it comes up. But I've got the pictures in front of me on my screen as well. So that first picture, that comes up. That's you with the camera.
That's just me and the camera in a crop circle. And that was a beautiful day, 2014. I was filming Sasha Stone. And that movie didn't end up being a movie, but it was a great day in a crop circle.
And that camera, did you ever have... Sorry, I just wanted to ask you a quick question about the camera, Patty. We always hear about cameras and sound equipment and everything malfunctioning when you're inside because of all of that, electromagnetic energy. Did you ever have equipment failure?
I was really lucky. I never had equipment problems, no phone problems, no batteries, no cameras. No, I always rolled, hum like a singer. It was great. No problem.
All right.
And I think the other thing about the enhanced electromagnetic field is that people are a lot more intuitive and a lot more direct. At least that's what I found when I was playing in the crop circles. So let's go to photo number 2, just because the first few are just what it's like being in the crop circles. That one is...
Number 2. Yeah, that's you laying in the crop circle.
Yeah, I was always drawn right to the middle. And even if I went with people, I would say to them in advance, when we enter the formation, I'm going to leave you, and I'll talk to you when we are done and walking out. So I wasn't social. I was serious. I was focused. And that's pretty much the position. I go right to the center, close my eyes.
Did you ever fall asleep inside a crop circle?
Well, 2007, at the very end, when the wheat was brittled, I was in a formation called Sugar Hill, and the farm was called Sugar Hill. But yes, I passed out, and it was at the end of my first real summer of being there for 9 weeks. And I was staying in the epicenter in different B&Bs, and I had a rental car. So for an American, new there to drive on the other side of the road, sitting on the other side of the car, doing roundabouts, it was really an adventure to be an American over there running a camera. I mean, I was just on autopilot and got really lucky. The next photo is what it's like walking through the fields. And I don't know if you know who Janet Osabard is.
Yes, I've had her on a program before. Yes.
Fantastic woman. Fall of the Cabal is one of the many series that she did, but she was like one of my best buddies over there. And she's in the front of the line. I'm in the back of the line. And we were heading into a crop circle at the Apiary Stone Circle, Apiary Manor. There was this big, beautiful crop circle. And so we filmed an interview there, and that was part of the crew in 2007 when I hired the professional crew to film. And then starting 2008, I ran my own camera.
What's the protocol, Patty, when you're walking through farmers' fields on the way? Do you go up to do you find the farmer's house first and ask? How does that work?
We never did, but sometimes they would have like a cash box where they would ask you to put in 3 pounds or 5 pounds as a donation to go onto their land and a donation toward the wheat that gets stepped on or that was laid down by the formation. But what's interesting about crop circles is that the wheat doesn't die. The wheat, the barley, the corn, it actually bends at a 90-degree angle and it keeps growing, which is really phenomenal. It doesn't die. And it becomes super seeds when it seeds out that are growing, like we talked about, 30 to 400% more food and biofuel per plant.
Right. I didn't realize it even once. I didn't realize it was bent at 90 degrees and that it kept growing. And for the uninitiated, I mean, this is not like just haphazardly slapdash trampled down. It's like almost like this integral weave with the stalks. They're interwoven. I mean, you can't do that by strapping boards on your shoes.
Well, BBC and Ancient Aliens would tend to show you those people, and you know that you can go back to sleep now, but no, there's too many real crop circles for them to get away with people not knowing. Let's go to the next slide, if you would, because I really want to get into more of the science. This is the last one where it's just me filming. But what's interesting about this one is it's called Night Watch. And we'd go up on the hillsides at night while we could still see, set up our cameras and our tripods, and we would choose a location that was over a field that usually got hit with crop circles during the summer. And there were two of them mainly, Golden Ball Hill, and we'd set up our cameras at night, and we would just wait and hope that we would be the ones to get pictures of balls of light. And East Field was another one that was really a major one. Let's go to the next image where you can see the balls of light. There's three of them that we filmed one night over East Field. Can you see those? Are you on the image there?
Yeah, there's one up in the right-hand corner there's a white one, and then it looks like an orange one, and then right below that it looks like kind of a reddish color. They almost look like planets. Well, amazingly, they would move, change positions. There would be different numbers of them, but I had a couple of different people that I met in the course of the same day tell me that they had the same experience the night before with seeing these orange balls of light over East Field, and the very next day there was a crop circle. Now, the idea of capturing on with your camera a crop circle while it was being formed with these balls of light, to capture the moment, the balls of light come over the field, and then to see the crop circle just suddenly appear. I mean, I'm guessing that would be the holy grail, right? Had that been before you started making crop circle films, had anyone captured that footage before? Oh, I didn't film that footage. That was 1996, a guy named William Whaley, or Wady, they don't know which one, but that was not my footage. And in my final film, Crop Circle Diaries, I show an additional footage of balls of light laying crop circles down in seconds in France. So I didn't film them myself, no. I filmed the balls of light coming over the sky, and I filmed a lot of them in the sky, but I didn't film them making a crop circle. I just featured those footages in my film. Okay, and we're talking about the Oliver's Castle crop circle, right? That's correct. The one from '96. Yeah. Was that the first time anyone had ever captured the balls of light and the crop circle being formed simultaneously? That I know of, yeah, and that's the one that's most well known, and people have thought about it forever. Let's go to the next image because we're going to see it. I wish I could see the images with you. Is there any way you can shift that over? Well, you sent the email to me with the pictures, so I'm just looking at those, and because you've numbered them. Okay. But this is the UK ball of light with the open door. Right. Okay. So that one's really amazing. That one was taken by my friend Monique Klinkenberg from Holland, and I made a film called Orbs and Light Beings, and these people that saw the orange balls of light said that they saw the door open in the orange ball and illumined light beings came out with arms and legs and a head. And these guys were stunned, and I met them the very next day after this experience. And then we got the photo with the open door in the ball of light. It was shocking. Amazing. That is shocking. Patty, we're going to take a quick time out. We'll come back. Patty Greer, prominent crop circle filmmaker, cropcirclefilms.com. If you'd like to buy her films, cropcirclefilms.com, and we'll come back on the other side and discuss further and more fantastic photos on the live stream. Stay with us.
This is no place for the naive or the faint-hearted.
Hey there, I'm hard at work on another edition of Inner Sanctum, my free monthly newsletter. Inner Sanctum features my monthly brief, a column of my thoughts and opinions on what's happening in the world. It features a spotlight on a past guest, a look ahead to an upcoming episode of my weekly syndicated radio program, The Conspiracy Show. It features a look at this month in conspiracy and UFO history, and my Conspiracy Unlimited podcast episode pick of the month, and so much more. To get your free monthly newsletter, Inner Sanctum, delivered to your email inbox, just go to my website, strangeplanet.ca, strangeplanet.ca. Scroll down to the bottom of the page and click on Inner Sanctum and register. It's fast, easy, and again, absolutely free.
Welcome back to Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. The truth will set you free. But first, it will really tick you off. Welcome back to Richard Syrett's Strange Planet.
With Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio.
We're back with Patty Greer, Crop Circle filmmaker. And again, the website, cropcirclefilms.com. And if you're not on the live stream, you might want to think about checking that out at the YouTube live stream, Strange Planet, or on Rumble, Richard Syrett's Strange Planet, because Patty has come armed with some fantastic photographs. And the last one we had up on the live stream, this was the kind of a close-up of a ball of light, and the door is open. How many times did you have to zoom in to get that, or is that basically the way it appears through the camera lens?
That one in particular showed up like that. It was just shocking after hearing the story from those guys that literally when I saw them the next day, they fell out of their van, like driver door, passenger door. It was a really interesting experience. And I filmed them for my movie called Orbs and Light Beings. And they were just staring at the ground, very red faces. And the guy goes, they're from Belgium. And the guy named Igor goes, my eyes don't lie. It's just my rational mind that can't find an explanation.
Right. And again, there were entities that came through that open door of that orb. And again, how did people describe it? Or them? There were a number of them.
They said that they were human-like shaped beings that were just light, all light. Can you imagine? And they were up in the sky. So they saw these orange balls of light appear, disappear, and then appear again. And the door opened, and these entities came out. One came out, and then the other one came out to join him, or it. And then there were two, and only the two guys from Belgium saw the ball of light open and these entities come out. But on the other hand, there were these French people that, of course, I also met, who had seen the balls of light over Eastfield that very same night. And then hours later, the man that I was touring with, we went into this crop circle really far away at called Roundaway on our way to Glastonbury. And the family that we met with two children also had been in that crop circle. And they reported to us that a little girl was 6 years old. And she said, and her mom had to translate, the circle is not done. They're going to make it bigger. And sure enough, that crop circle had two more phases before it was fully delivered, the full message. And it was very impressive that this little girl knew. It's a fascinating movie. I encourage people to watch it. It also cost me my man partner. He just kept watching me be like a magnet to all these people. in different parts of England that were in that same crop circle watching the sky that night. It was too weird. It was over the top. The magic that kept happening there, the magnetism of all the right people at the right time. It was really impressive to me, but overwhelming to others. So let's
I'm
go
sure.
to...
Can I just ask you, before we go to the next photo, Patty, I want to ask you about that little girl for a second. So it sounds like, what did she receive? Some sort of telepathic information, perhaps, from these light beings that they're coming back over, the next night to finish their agriglyph?
Yes, it was so strange that a child would say that. And she said it on camera in Dutch, and her mom translated into English. And the mom just kept rolling her eyes, like, I can't believe she's saying this.
And have these light beings, while people are, I'm kind of imagining in my mind this community that goes over every summer, and they're staying at different bed and breakfasts, maybe miles away from each other, not talking to each other, and then they'll gather at a location where they believe a crop circle is about to be formed. Did any of them ever talk about, while they're at their B&B or someplace, seeing one of these light beings, having one of these light beings come to them to communicate with them?
I have not heard that story. And also, that's not exactly how it goes. We do come in from all different countries. We do stay at different B&Bs, but we meet up in the morning at the Silent Circle, or we used to, 2007, 8, 10, 11, 14, all the years I was there. We had the Silent Circle, and it was this place where we could get coffee and cake, and the pilots would have reported to the owner of the research center where there was new crop circles. And so he'd put a pin on the map, and we'd come in and have coffee together and talk about crop circles we saw yesterday or last week, and, whatever was new. And then we'd all go flying out if there was a report of another new crop circle. It was like a treasure hunt. I mean, the years that I was filming, there were like 150 crop circles a year, and documented, and about 75 were in England.
Wow.
So
right.
It was definitely the epicenter until 2019, which we will get to a little bit later.
Right. Okay, so the next photo, Ryan, if you could, this is number 7, I believe.
Oliver.
And yeah, this is Oliver Castle. This is the... So describe what we're seeing here.
Well, Oliver's Castle crop circle, it's basic. It's a very simple crop circle, but it is the most talked about crop circles, because this is the one where the balls of light were filmed by Waby, John
Yes.
Waby. And he brought it into the barge inn and handed it over to some people after he shared it with them. And he said, I just filmed this, balls of light creating a crop circle, and at Oliver's Castle. And so over the years, this story has been distorted and honored and lied about and then supported and blah, blah, blah. So my final film, Circle Diaries, I had this incredible gift from a Native American that I used to go in crop circles with. His name is Bear Cloud from Sedona, Arizona. And he handed me this footage, and he said, yes, you can use it. And he had paid this famous guy, a well-known guy that deciphered footage of UFOs being real or fake. And he deciphered Oliver's Castle for Bear Cloud for $3,000. And he took his time, and then Bear Cloud filmed him saying it's absolutely as real as the Phoenix Lights UFO.
Right.
He said this footage is real of Oliver's Castle, where balls of light are laying down a crop circle in seconds. And so I got permission to use it at the end of my first film and my fourth film. And then very strangely, I had found this little bleep of communication right before the crop circle went down. And I believe that in the very beginning of my whole career, that I proved that footage was real by finding this, what looks like a binary code. It looks kind of like this here on the bottom of the crop circle box. You can see, and that's what the code was. But do we have that video clip that you could?
Yes, we're going to play that, but I'm thinking because it's about 2 minutes and we're coming up on a break, probably in about a minute and a half. Maybe we'll do that first order of business when we come back, and play that video clip. And for those of you watching the live stream, you can see it. But there's some dialogue. You'll hear Patty talking about it, and then when there's no talking, you and I can, I guess, kind of describe a little bit. So we just finished with picture 7. That's and then picture 8. Did we have picture 8 up there? That's the actual ball of light communication. That's the still photo.
Oh yeah, let's pull that up, because that's the moment that for some reason I found, and we describe it in the little video clip coming up. But it wasn't that I had studied or that I was being a psychic. It was that I was, for some reason, when I was editing my films, when I was in the crop circles, it's like you get into this energy field where I don't think I was thinking on my own. I was kind of thinking with the energies that were creating these crop circles, because clearly I was being given a lot of information. And then to find this moment in time where my editor and I thought we had just finally completed the very first movie, Crop Circle Update. No, it's called The Wake Up Call. Anybody listening? ? My very first film. And we thought it was done. And so we said, okay, great. Let's turn off all the gear and we'll go out on the deck and we'll take a break. And then we'll come in and watch the whole movie and see if it's done. My very first film. So I'm going
to jump in there. Sorry, Patty, for the interruption. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll pick up on that story, and then we will play this remarkable piece of footage. Patty Greer, Crop Circle filmmaker, is with us. CropCircleFilms.com, the website. Back with more in a minute. Don't go away.
Loose lips sink ships, and sometimes.
I don't need to tell you how important building and sustaining a healthy immune system is these days. And just in time, my good friends at Get the Tea are offering a special package called the Immune Builder. You get 1 month's supply of Life Change Super Tea. That's 8 bags. 1 bottle of Bioastin. That's 75 capsules. Now, Bioastin, or astaxanthin, is known as one of nature's most powerful antioxidants and provides a wide range of impressive health benefits. The Immune Builder also includes 1 bottle of potent C wild Alaskan sockeye omegas. That's 90 gel caps. And 1 copy of the book Natural Astaxanthin, Hawaii's Super Nutrient by Dr. William Sears. There's so much more than tea at getthetea.com. Get your Immune Builder right now. Not available in any store. Use the code UNLIMITED and all your purchases ship for free. The Immune Builder from getthetea.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. We're now crossing a zone of turbulence. Please return your seats and food trays to their upright position and make sure your carry-on luggage is safely stowed. You're about to leave everything you know behind. This is Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. Strange Planet.
Zoomer Radio. To speak with Richard, call 416-360-0740 or toll free 1-866-740-4740.
All right, we just gave out the numbers, but if you're calling in with a question or comment, just keep your powder dry. We will get to questions and comments in the second hour. Patty Greer, Crop Circle filmmaker stays with us, cropcirclefilms.com, the website. So you had permission to use this famous footage from Oliver's Castle in your documentary, and we see the balls of light, and you think the movie's pretty well, your documentary, you and your editor, you think, well, that's it. We've cut everything together. It's great. Let's go take a quick break out on the patio. And then you came back, and something inside you, a little voice said, no, we're not quite done with this movie yet. What happened?
You know what? Let's run the clip, because that's what the clip is about.
Okay, hang on. Before we get that, let me just make sure I cue it up on my phone here so I can watch as we go. All right, Carlos, if you want to run that, let's go now.
I said, show me the Oliver's Castle footage where 2 balls of light lay a crop circle down in seconds. Show it to me again. He said, why? I said, I don't know, just do it. So he lit it up, and I watched it, and I said, reverse it. He said, why? I said, I don't know, just do it. So he reversed it. We watched it. The chills came back, and I said, slow it down. He said, how slow? I said, I don't know, 30%. And we both looked at each other like, where did that number come from? Why did I say that? I said, I don't know, just do it.
And there it is. We see, there it is. That something in connecting those 2 orbs. It's like a string or a, what the heck is that thing? Okay, here we go. We see the balls of light.
When I first looked at this picture, I did not know anything about Oliver's Castle. I just saw 2 balls of plasma communicating with one another. And it was just that simple. They are the, the balls of plasma, or the light at the bottom of those vortices that are creating the crop circle.
Now, who was that lady that came in at the end, Patty? Who was that woman?
That was Penny Kelly, the secret weapon partner of William Levengood. And we have a photo of him in his lab coming up in a few slides. He was the only scientist in the world that proved crop circles were real. And Penny Kelly worked with him for 16 years in the lab, and I was lucky enough to meet her, and then I spent 3 weeks with her creating this movie.
All right, so let me just go back to that clip. So something spoke to you and said, play this footage, and we see in the footage, we see at Oliver's Castle these 2 orbs, and you see as they're circling the film, you see the crop formation form right before your eyes, spontaneously. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And then when something spoke to you and said, reverse it, slow it down by 30%, that came out of nowhere into your mind, right?
It came out of nowhere. And I just kept amazing the editor. And when I said 30%, that was it for me. I was like, I have no idea why I'm saying this. But it happened. So, yeah, it was pretty surprising. And then I yelled, oh, my God, what's that? And a lot of people in the field said, oh, that's a digital glitch, but it's the only one that happens. And I knew right when I saw it, and so did Penny Kelly. And Penny Kelly was the science expert. I was just the experiencer. But I also was the one that found that moment with those mathematical, slow it down, reverse it, which is simple. But to come up with it again was just, I think, a lucky moment of me being open to receive the information.
Well, so let's describe, for those who didn't see that clip and are hearing it on the radio, this line that is connecting these two balls of light, these 2 orbs, this straight line, horizontal line, and it looks as if it's sort of intermittently white and then a bit of black and white and black and white and black. That you refer to that as, the communication between these 2 orbs. And that's it was always in that piece of film, but nobody thought to slow it down by 30% in order for it to be revealed for the first time. So what do you think? What is that line? What is that?
Well, it would appear to be a direct line of communication between two plasma fields, and everything is plasma. Plasma moves constantly. Plasma has intention, and so what you have there is a direct line of communication between two plasma fields. And what I believe is that they were communicating to each other, I'll do this, you do that, and the field went down in seconds.
Remarkable. And I mean, I wonder what that white, and it looks to me as if it's like white, a ribbon of white and black and white and black. What do you think it is, like zeros and ones, or is it like binary code? We have no way of knowing, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like a binary code or a barcode squeezed down. But yeah, it would appear to be like a binary code. And a lot of the crop circles have been delivered in binary code. So, you know, crop circles are delivered in a language that we all understand, no matter what language you speak, in pictograms, pictures, and sacred geometry, like you were saying, and mathematics, and
fractals,
and binary codes, and Morse code. And we have seen a variety of coded crop circles. So, you know, they're using everything but language.
All right, we'll take another time out, Patty. This is a short segment. Back on the other side, more fabulous pictures. We'll look at some of the nodes inside these crop circles. What happens to them? And we'll also get a nice picture of Lefty Levengood, crop circle research pioneer. Stay with us.
It's time to redefine reality. This is Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. We're now crossing a zone of turbulence. Please return your seats and food trays to their upright position and make sure your carry-on luggage is safely stowed. You're about to leave everything you know behind. This is Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. Strange Planet.
You're listening to The Conspiracy Show with Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio.
All right, let's jump right back in with these fantastic photos and images that Patty Greer, crop circle filmmaker, has brought with us. And we're going to go to number 9. These are crop circle nodes we're looking at. This is kind of a collage. Just explain what we're looking at here, Patty, with crop circle nodes. Did we lose Patty? Did you mute your microphone?
Sorry, I'm right here.
Go. There you are.
Sorry.
Okay, we're looking at we're looking at the nodes now, the crop nodes.
Right. This is a nice variety of different ranges of what you'll see in crop circles, but the stalk of any plant has little elbows naturally where it grows up and then it stops for a moment to gain itself, and then it grows another big, length, and those are called nodes in the middle where it takes its break, and then it's able to bend there if need be for the plant. So what we have is blown nodes on the top right, which is where there was so much heat that it actually burned a hole through the stalk of the plant. And then in the middle, the really golden ones are called elongated nodes, where they were actually stretched. And the only way you can do that is with heat. So how do these plants that are made of cellulose have liquid in them, like life juice, to the point that it's so hot it would blow a hole but not kill the plant? That's what's happening for that quick second when crop circles are hit with these enhanced plasma fields, bam, and then the crops bend and lay in the exact position that they're told, and it's hundreds of thousands of stalks. So it's really quite impressive when you see this many bent nodes that haven't broken, that haven't, yeah.
So is the moisture inside is superheated, almost as if they're in a microwave, and when that pressure builds up, it's got nowhere to go, so it blasts through the wall of the stalk, leaving a hole, so that the moisture, the pressure can escape.
Yep.
Remarkable. And yet it doesn't kill the plant.
Say it again.
And yet it doesn't kill the plant.
Right. Right. I mean, when the plants are hit with these electromagnetic spinning vortices of plasma, they've also found iron ore on the backside of leaves of some of the plants inside crop circles, where it has to be 1,200 degrees to be melted, molten iron, to be able to pack onto the backside of the leaf. And they peeled it off, Penny did in the lab, and she could see the pattern of the leaf in the iron ore. It was absolutely astounding that it didn't burn the entire field. They have found dead flies on flower, on seed tops in crop circles, quite a few dead flies, but very few dead animals. The next image is really incredible to me. This is corn, or is this canola? This is canola.
Yeah, canola.
Yellow flowers.
This is number 10, Ryan.
Look at the bend.
Wow. Wow.
Like,
so it's
amazing.
It goes. The stalk kind of bends horizontally, and then it goes straight up at almost like a 90-degree angle.
Right. Unbelievable. And
yeah.
So in this field of canola, when you see crop circles, and canola is early season, like April, May, you're going to see canola fields and canola crop circles. And you can really see it once the yellow flowers are there, because the formations are really bold and bright. But Charles, who owned the research center, said that the canola can grow up to 10 feet tall. So it's like walking in a maze when you're in a crop circle of canola, where you can't even see to find your way out. Pretty alarming.
Right. Now, if left to its own devices, would a crop circle where the stalks have been woven and they're flat on the ground and these intricate weaves, left to its own device, would they unweave themselves and stand up again, or do we know what happens?
Well, what happens at the end of the season is the farmer mows his crop.
Right. So they don't get a chance to.
You know,
it just stays in that pattern, in other words, until harvest time.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing that changes it, which happened a lot the last few years that I was going there, was that the government was threatening the farmers that they needed to mow out the crop circles if they wanted their monthly stipend from the government. So it was really awful what started happening with the threat from the farmers, from the military to the farmers. And so they started mowing out the crop circles. So we had less to go in, and the farmers were in fear rather than welcoming.
Well, that's interesting. So the military, the government told them, destroy the evidence, basically. Don't allow people to come in and see these crop circles. And if you don't do as you're told, you're not going to get your the cash for your crop.
That's right. Or your government assistance. So a lot of these beautiful formations, I mean, we get in there, and if we got a a message from the research center, we'd be on it. And we would go immediately and start filming. And luckily, we got most of the crop circles before the farmers mowed them out, but some of the beauties were mowed out, which is just absolutely sad. So let's go to the next image, which is William Levengood, the great scientist, in his lab. And he was really cute. So he and Penny were getting crop circle stalks from all different places around the world shipped to them. And Lefty, his name was William Levengood, but they called him Lefty, had been a earth and soil, plant and soil scientist since the 50s. So it was always his research field, but when he started getting crop circle samples, that was it. Nothing else mattered. And so they were trying to figure out how they could flourish once they were bent, what it was that could possibly bend the stalks to be the nodes to be so extreme, and they discovered that that it was liquid, that was that hot, that was doing the causation to the change of form. But when they figured out that it was plasma working in a spinning vortex that heated up to the point where it could do this level of work, they realized that it was a technology that was creating superseeds, and they took the time to re-engineer it with a germination chamber and a germination tank, and they actually succeeded and came up with a machine that re-engineered the multitudes of seeds that they were creating naturally in crop circles, but now they were creating it in the lab. And I show the machine itself in Crop Circle Diaries. So if people want to see it, and if they've got farms, it's a really simple machine, and I'm surprised that it hasn't, already gone out. But
So
they're using charge density plasma.
So with this machine, using the charge density plasma, you're reproducing the technology that is used by these light beings and these orbs when they're laying down a crop circle. It's the same type of plasma, and in the germination chamber, you're getting between 30 and 400% increased crop yield with these seeds that are placed in the germination chamber. Do I have that right?
Yes, go to the next image, because there you've got some seeds from this germination chamber, and this was one of the loads where they went, oh my God, this is for real, now it's being consistent, and there's just huge abundance of more crop. But there's more to the science than just the two metal plates with the charge density plasma. There was also the bizarre mystery of William Levengood leaving the seeds that created the initial mind-boggling numbers. He had found an envelope in the back of his desk drawer, and it had been sitting there for months, he said. The seeds had not been watered. They had no light. They had, no fresh air. They were just in an envelope closed in the back of a drawer. And it was those seeds that created these amazing super seeds. So there may be something to neglecting the seeds, putting seeds in the dark, not letting them have any access to anything before they become super seeds. I'm sure that, people would need to experiment again, and William Levengood is gone now.
Right. Okay, Patty, you've got to take a time out. We're heading into the top of the hour. Patty Greer stays with us into hour 2, prominent crop circle filmmaker who has produced 8 full-length crop circle films in 10 years. CropCircleFilms.com. Back with more on the other side. Don't go away.
Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. Following the truth wherever it leads. Exposing evil and corruption and the secret machinations of powerful elites. Revealing the high strangeness beneath the surface of our supposed reality. Coming to you from the Great White North and his studio beneath the stairs. Here's Richard.
With Richard Sarrett on Zoomer Radio.
Hey, thanks for inviting me into your home, your long-haul truck, RV, camper, taxi, your parents' well-appointed basement with a simulated wood paneling, electric fireplace, and the painting of dogs playing poker, your loft, that greasy spoon just off the interstate, and your cabin in the woods. Carlos Cagina is our technical producer. Ryan White is our live stream producer. Again, check out my YouTube channel, Strange Planet, and my Rumble channel, Richard Sarrett's Strange Planet. And crop circle filmmaker, researcher, or experiencer, I think she'd rather, Patty Greer stays with us. She's been splashing some spectacular photos and images of crop circles up on the live stream. And she's revealing the encoded messages and hidden information inside crop circles. And we've been talking about the work of William Levengood, the researcher who discovered increased crop yields from seeds found inside crop circles. Patty is a prominent crop circle filmmaker. She's produced 8 full-length crop circle or 8 crop circle films in 10 years. Her movies have received 8 prestigious awards, including 5 EBEs at the International UFO Congress. And her films show footage of crop circles being produced by spinning plasma fields that appear to humans as balls of light. And her conclusions after visiting the lab of scientist William Levengood is that crop circles are produced by counter-rotating spinning plasma vortices coming out of the earth. And again, her film or her website where her films can be found are cropcirclefilms.com, cropcirclefilms.com. All right, so let's see. We were looking at these seeds that were grown, and they were neglected. Lefty Levengood found them in an envelope in the back of a drawer. No water, no light, and yet still they produced this incredible bounty. So, since Lefty has passed away, where is this research now? Has anyone picked up the mantle?
Well, I filmed a guy named John that was what was he doing? He was documenting every page of Lefty's notebooks, the entire collection. Where this gentleman has put all that evidence and where all those notebooks are, I don't know. But the lady that received the estate said she was going to donate it to the school, the Michigan University. So I'm thinking that that's probably where it went. But they hid his information rather than honored it, and we could have learned so much and benefited with the food supply so much had we welcomed his technology. I just want to read this little bit that I just typed out, that it was his theory that was written, that within these counter-rotating vortices, there's a whole stack of interactive energies, each with their own distinct boundary conditions. There's electromagnetics, ion-electron avalanche energies, and areas of convective stability that were very stable and coherent. The plants continued to thrive. Then there were other areas that were chaotic and that were like they were hit with a microwave energies. And when these plants were hit, the crop was injured and died. He noticed that the U.S. crop circles had a much more powerful charge than in the U.K. or EU because the energy moving across the U.S. Great Plains allowed for the wind to boost the electrical currents in the earth. And he realized that the Earth itself was boosting this energy, and the plasma vortex was literally interacting with the energies moving across the Earth. This includes the electrical fields, rivers, and currents. They are always there, and they are always going to interact. And then this is interesting. The distribution of particles such as iron in the soil exactly matched the mathematical formulas of counter-rotating vortices and the way that they throw material out from the center. So he was convinced that the vortex was the form or the active action that was happening to create a crop circle. He discovered it was plasma by using a plant and waving a magnet up and down to get the same results repeatedly. And he said this is a charge density plasma, and it's a plasma vortex.
Wow, that's pretty sophisticated research and knowledge.
Right. So all the previous films, here we are going, is it the military? Is it ETs? Is it aliens? It's the Earth. Wow.
So why the resistance? We talked before about the resistance that you received. Once sort of the crop circle phenomenon has been sort of detached from the whole, UFO phenomenon, it seemed to generate a lot of resistance and animosity. Why is that?
Well, I don't know if it's crop circles in particular. I think the whole UFO field died in the last 6 years. It got there used to be such great people when you and I met in 2011. Oh my God! I mean, the UFO International Congress was like all the great 4-star generals and real experiencers. I mean, we had a boatload of rock stars when it came to ufology, and slowly in the last 5 years, they've all died in a short period of time, and the field got dangerous. I think that a lot of people were taken out, and I know that I was threatened, and then I was wounded, and I haven't been the same for the last 5 years. So I paid a very high price for being in the field, telling the truth, being the only person delivering William Levengood's science, as well as the experience of being in all the crop circles and being sort of an overseer who's been fearless. I wasn't highly intellectual before making these films, and I certainly didn't research any of the information. I learned it from the other people in the field and from being in the formations. So the next few images, I think, are the most telling crop circles that you just can't make this up. Let's go to number 13.
Right. Okay. 409 circles, it's called. So what are we looking at here? It's a beautiful crop circle.
Oh my God. It's a Fibonacci sequence, but it's a series of spirals of Fibonacci sequence. And it happened on a very rainy night, so it was totally muddy in the morning. And my friend Charles, who ran the research center, said he walked the entire perimeter at 5:30 a.m. Formation was stunning. And he said there was not a footprint in sight in all the mud. So that was a real crop circle. And 409 independent circles. I mean, if you're in one of them, you'd never know that there was another and another and another. So that one was phenomenal to me.
It's absolutely gorgeous. And someone, another crop circle researcher, and I can't remember her name. I think I interviewed her on Coast to Coast. She talked about how she would take images, photographs, or slides to, let's say, a community center and show people these images of these crop circles, and it would have the same type of effect on someone looking at a photograph as it would as if that person were standing in the middle of a crop circle. So whatever this energy is, it can also emanate from a photograph of the crop circle. Have you heard of this phenomenon before?
I have. You know, it's something about maybe the symbol, something about, again, the frequency. You know, perhaps it can be felt and seen in a photo of something as enlightened as a real crop circle.
So
But
do you
that's
have
409. It's just, to me, that's just too amazing.
pictures of crop circles hanging in your house everywhere?
No, I don't. I've got my crop circle calendar that I use every day. And in my office, I have different crop circle images, but not all over the house, no.
All right.
I've got crystals all over the house, big crystals, and lots of plants.
So what is the significance of the 409 circles, do you think?
Well, I don't know if it's so much, again, a lot of mathematicians would say 409, 13, blah, blah, blah. But for me, it's more about sacred geometry. It's about a pinwheel, a Fibonacci sequence, which is perfection of math. You know, the Fibonacci sequence is demonstrated in each one of those lines, and there's a number of them, and they're all flawless. So to me, it's more about the sacred geometry and the amazement of the size of that formation, as you can see in the landscape.
Right. It looks, you're right. It looks like a giant pinwheel.
Yeah. Well,
all right. It's not, they're not always geometric. They're not always mathematical images or fractals. Sometimes they're actual likenesses of something.
Right.
Which takes us to number 14.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go to 14 because that is both. You've got a binary code that's got a very distinct message, and then you've got a pictogram of an alien.
Wow.
So this was 2002. It was after 9/11. And the message was deciphered, in my opinion, relating to 9/11 being the beginning of changing history. And it was deciphered as this: beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain, but still time. Believe there is good out there. We oppose deception. Now, what's impressive about this crop circle not only is the extreme nature and the size of it and the message, but it was located near a telecommunication tower, a big, huge tower to communicate to the world that this crop circle just happened, in my opinion.
And who deciphered the binary code? How did they do that?
Who knows? My God. And it was in wheat that was brown, tan, brittle. You know, when it's green, it's supple and young, you know, April, May, June. And then July, August, it starts to turn brown and get crispy. And that's when I get really impressed that they can braid them and bend them and not break all the wheat, because it's just so dry at that point.
I hadn't even thought of that. That's true. That's true.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've been in amazing crop circles, and they're just brittle as could be.
Just a quick question, a quick aside that occurred to me, and that is, if you were to eat the bread made from the wheat inside a crop circle, what do you think that, I mean, would that bread would be more nutritious? I mean, would it have any other effect on the person eating the bread, do you think?
I believe they made crop circle bread, and I never heard any reviews of it, but I ate a lot of raw wheat in the center of the crop circles, and it was before I knew much about, I'm sorry to say, chemtrails. And there were times when, there was only one time when we know that a plane went over and sprayed pink powder on one of our crop circles while all of the researchers were called to Coronation Hall. And somebody had spotted, and I think they filmed this plane dropping something on a crop circle, which probably wasn't a good thing. So we don't know. And there was one time when I always cut three little stems of seeds from a lot of the crop circles that I went in. I just cut a few from the center and I put them in a bottle and save them. But this one time I put them in a strawberry container that I had eaten the fruit, rinsed the plastic thing, and then I put my crop circle little bits in it and put it in the top of the closet of my B&B. And I took a few days and I went elsewhere. And then I came back, and when I pulled that box out again, it had grown this pink mold. It was really, oh my God, it filled the container. I didn't know what it was, but I never ate the wheat again.
That was from the chemtrail.
I don't know what it was from, but it was on the wheat, and it had grown a very large mold in a very short period of time.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Number 15.
Yeah.
Is it pronounced Chilbolton? Chilbolton?
Chilbolton.
Chilbolton. This is a crop circle in Chilbolton. Okay.
And you'll note that, again, it's a year apart. It's a year earlier than the alien face and the disc. And it's also near a huge telecommunication tower. Like, top of the century, the Earth herself, conscious entity, is sending up these crop circles and spinning plasma vortices, and they're all preformed. And so the communication happens between the plasma fields. Boom, the field goes down in seconds. But these two not only had telecommunication towers in the fields, but they were also double formations of a face and a binary code.
Right. I've never seen crop circles like this before because, well, they're not crop circles. One is a rectangle with all the information inside, and one is the square, and that has the image of the face. I've never seen a crop circle look this way before.
I know. Yeah, and near the telecommunication towers. So pretty amazing. And then we realized that this one that looks almost like a Native American blanket, the rectangle, it has a very similar pattern to the message that was sent out by Carl Sagan and Francis Drake in 1964. They sent out this binary code message into space, into this star cluster, I think it called M13, and it was far, far away. And all of a sudden, this message comes back in a crop circle, and it looks like you've got an alien. Are we at the next image where there's the description?
Oh, number 16, the Arecibo message?
Yeah.
Is that okay, yes, take it to number 16. So this is the Arecibo message. This is the one that was sent out by Carl Sagan. And we're seeing that one sort of side by side with this one from Chilbolton.
Right. Pretty shocking that it was so similar, and they recognized as, oh my God, this is an answer to the message that we sent out from the Arecibo telecommunication tower in the 1960s. But there were distinct differences, and the first one you can see is the being. On the right, you can see a human. On the left, you can see an alien.
Right.
There's an additional strand of DNA. There's an additional element, which is silicon. And at the top of the century, that was taking care of our computers. Change in the number of people and star formations and in the solar system. And what was so fascinating was that they were mimicking the message that we sent, and the mother herself, in my opinion, laid down a crop circle or sent up a crop circle that was a direct communication back to our scientists and the people of Earth.
Right. So the Arecibo message that was sent out by Carl Sagan was an attempt to, in as simple a way as possible, communicate to perhaps extraterrestrial life who we are and what we are. So there is an image of a kind of a stick figure man, and I think there's some information in there about the RNA and DNA and that we're carbon based and so forth. And decades and decades later, this is the response in the form of a crop circle that, as you say, looks as if it shows an additional strand of DNA, perhaps a gray alien in there. Fascinating. All right, we're going to take another time out, and we will open up the phone lines. And also, if you're in the live chat on either the YouTube live chat, Ryan, my live stream producer, can curate some questions, and I'll read those out for Patty. Patty Greer, Crop Circle filmmaker, cropcirclefilms.com. Don't go away. More to come.
If you're sure your phone isn't tapped, call now.
Hey there, I'm hard at work on another edition of Inner Sanctum, my free monthly newsletter. Inner Sanctum features my monthly brief, a column of my thoughts and opinions on what's happening in the world. It features a spotlight on a past guest, a look ahead to an upcoming episode of my weekly syndicated radio program, The Conspiracy Show. It features a look at this month in conspiracy and UFO history, and my Conspiracy Unlimited podcast episode pick of the month, and so much more. To get your free monthly newsletter, Inner Sanctum, delivered to your email inbox, just go to my website, strangeplanet.ca, strangeplanet.ca. Scroll down to the bottom of the page and click on Inner Sanctum and register. It's fast, easy, and again, absolutely free.
As you're staring up at the night sky, ever wonder who's staring back? You're listening to Richard Syrett's Strange Planet.
Richard Syrett from Zoomer Radio. To speak with Richard, call 416-360-0740 or toll free 1-866-740-4740.
Patty Greer stays with us, cropcirclefilms.com. I know I've asked you this many times, Patty, but have you made your last Crop Circle film, or are you getting that itch again to get back over there?
No, I think I've tied it in a bow. Learning the science from Penny Kelly was the icing on the cake. I'd made 7 films, and I had no idea what was really creating crop circles. And going into the lab a few times and spending 3 weeks at the farm where they did a lot of experimenting really stimulated me. And Crop Circle Diaries just tied it in a bow, my final film. So I feel like the whole collection of movies is, as much as I think anybody needs to know about crop circles, most of them are a lot more visual, like a lot more images of crop circles. The Crop Circle Diaries is the science. And this is my whole collection set, Crop Circle Ecstasy. You open it up, and it's got little pages you turn with all the videos and all my soundtracks. But all the films are in there and all the music. And I don't think there's more for me to tell, other than more new crop circles moving forward. But what happened to the epicenter is the next little segment of what I want to talk about. In England, like I said, the farmers were starting to get threatened by the government that they had to mow out the crop circles. So there was this gorgeous one called The Doorway that looked like an M.C. Escher. Absolutely beautiful. And the next day, it was a blank circle. And
Wow.
Luckily, a lot of us took photos, but wow. That one being gone and a number of them being gone was very disappointing. And in England, it just started getting weird. 2016, 17, and the researchers started disappearing. And then in 2019, all of a sudden, the epicenter moved to France. So let's go to number 17. And it was a very interesting transformation because they were located all around France, but they were on the Mother Mary path, on the divine, like at churches and at sacred sites. And all the formations were kind of similar, where they were built on a straight line axis, and there were either planets or crescent moons. And they were in the shape of like the arc-ups, as you can see in a lot of them. I saw like the goddess celebrating, like it was almost like the earth herself freed herself of the tyranny of England and what was happening to the crop circles and the farmers. So she just moved to France, and it was really blatant. It was like, wow. I mean, how shocking. So I felt like, again, the earth was communicating with humanity. I was certainly listening, and it looked like a very powerful shift back into the divine feminine, and just saying, fine, England, and literally moving to France. And by the end of 2019, I think there were 17 crop circles in France and 16 in England. So England caught up by the end of the year, the summer, but it was slow to go, and it was really apparent that France was the new crop circle epicenter. And then at the end of, actually early in the season, in May 2020, we had the virus crop circle, which is the next image. You've got to see this.
Yes, this is number 18. It is, it's absolutely stunning. Again, this is like no other crop circle. It's very sort of organic looking, and it looks like a virus with the spike. There's the spike protein right there. And this occurred in May 28th, 2020. So we were into the pandemic by that time.
Yep. I hope I didn't have that wrong. I thought it was 2019, but they both say 2020. Let's go to the next slide, because there's like more scientific sketches where you can see it definitely relates to, yes, this is what we're telling you is about to happen. And there it was in a crop circle.
Remarkable. Remarkable. So
there have been crop circles still every summer, and people that want to document or go to see all the ones that are happening, or all the libraries, go to cropcircleconnector.com, cropcircleconnector.com. It's a website, and they document all the crop circles all summer long in different countries, and people send in their images and their comments if they've been in the crop circles, and then it gets documented there. So it's a really good place to keep an eye on what's coming this summer. But I think that what we have is this overall communication from the earth of really trying to communicate with the people, you know, trying to speak to us in a language that we can all understand, which I said earlier, you know, the pictograms are easy because they're pictures of an octopus or an owl or a hummingbird or an orthoceras, these ancient sea creatures, and the rising phoenix, the ancient bird, and the scarab, the ancient insect. And that particular summer, 2009, it was all pictograms of birds, fish, and insects. And I'm thinking, what is the message? And then the BP oil spill happened the following spring and killed birds, fish, insects by the millions. So the earth, in my opinion, was communicating to the people, saying, please listen, please watch. I'm sending you these messages in images so that you can all understand and start caring, start putting the pieces together. And that's why I made the films. I mean, I was just so amazed. The next image, number 20, is Crop Circle Diaries, my final film.
There you are.
I would say it's my final Crop Circle film, yes.
All right, let's go into the live chat, and we'll get some questions here. Toxic Canadian, that's his handle. He asks, or she asks, what percentage of crop circles are faked? I would imagine that's impossible to know, right? I mean, there are a few, obviously, but you can tell. I mean, there are some telltale signs, right?
Yeah, you know, all I know is from my own experience, and I was in more than 100 crop circles in England, a few in France, but only one of them did I get nauseous and feel sick. But almost every single one of them, the hair stood up on my arms, little teeny girl hairs, and on the back of my neck. And it was really palpable. You know, I think that when you can notice it physically, and you can notice it before you even get to the formation where all of a sudden it's like zing, that to me is a real crop circle, is a real elemental appearance of magic with the earth itself. And I think most of them are real that I went in for sure.
Right. And again, the ones that are fake, where they have been basically the crop, the plants have been crushed and stomped on. You don't get that intricate weaving pattern. I mean, that's obvious. That's the telltale sign, right?
Yeah, you know, when they're using boards and ropes and it's humans doing it, you'll notice that every 3 feet there's a line of broken wheat or broken crop. And then you go another 2-3 feet and then they stomp down again. And there's that line of bent or broken crop, not gracefully arced or laid smoothly, but crushed down every 3 feet.
All right, we have another question. Diane M. asks, Patty, did you visit the famous Howell, Michigan crop circle of 2003?
No.
No, okay. Are you familiar with that? I'm not familiar with that. Are you familiar with that, the Howell crop circle? Okay. All right. Fortis 1 asks, when in the USA do crop circles form most commonly? Or where in the USA do crop circles form most commonly? What state or region?
You know, I've been stubborn. I haven't studied much of the American ones. I, for some reason, just went over to England every summer and was in them there. But Lefty said that in America, the energy was even stronger. I'm going to say the Great Plains is where he suggested, you know, the middle of the country where they've got the farm, lots of farm fields, and the only time they're going to grow is when the wheat or the corn or the barley is up. So if there's farm fields up, there's an opportunity for a crop circle to happen. And they happen in a lot of different countries.
All right, we'll take another time out, come back and take some more questions, comments for Patty Greer, crop circle filmmaker. Don't go away.
You want the truth? You can handle the truth. Richard Serrett from...
I don't need to tell you how important building and sustaining a healthy immune system is these days. And just in time, my good friends at Get the Tea are offering a special package called the Immune Builder. You get 1 month's supply of Life Change Super Tea. That's 8 bags. 1 bottle of Bioastin. That's 75 capsules. Now, Bioastin, or astaxanthin, is known as one of nature's most powerful antioxidants and provides a wide range of impressive health benefits. The Immune Builder also includes 1 bottle of Potent C Wild Alaskan Sockeye Omegas. That's 90 gel caps. and one copy of the book Natural Astaxanthin, Hawaii's Super Nutrient by Dr. William Sears. There's so much more than tea at getthetea.com. Get your immune builder right now. Not available in any store. Use the code UNLIMITED and all your purchases ship for free. The Immune Builder from getthetea.com.
740 or toll free at 1-866-740-4740.
Welcome back. Coming up next week on the program, Ryan Peterson will be here, the final Nephilim, and then the following week, Don Schmidt and Tom Carey, and we'll commemorate the 75th anniversary of Roswell and the 75th anniversary edition of their book, Witness to Roswell. And the following week after that, two pioneers in the field of shared death experiences, William Peters and Dr. Raymond Moody. Actually, we don't have Dr. Moody confirmed, but we know William Peters will be here. All right, back to our discussion on crop circles. Patty Greer is with us, crop circle filmmaker, cropcirclefilms.com, the website. And this is a short segment, so let's see if we can work in a few questions from the live stream. Not Gordian asks, Patty, have you ever seen a crop circle that had religious symbols?
Oh, God, yeah. A lot of crop circles, a lot of pentagrams, a lot of, what are they called? Like a fingernail moon, a crescent.
The crescent moon,
Oh, yeah.
right? For Islam, right? Okay. Andrew Boyle asks, are crop circles ever found on corporate farms? Oh, that's an interesting question.
You know, I've seen a lot of them do paid ads where they hire a team to make a crop circle, but I don't know in particular of any one that was natural that way.
On a corporate farm. What about non-crop circles? So just using natural vegetation, I don't know, tall grasses and so forth. Do they have to be in an actual crop?
Circles. We've seen tree top circles. Yeah.
Treetop circles.
Treetop circles where, I mean, there was a whole grove of trees and the top was, they were tipped down, the tops in a circle. It was very bizarre.
Yeah, try strapping on boards and faking one on treetops.
Right.
I want to get back to Lefty Levengood for a minute. And you spent some time on his farm after he passed. Didn't you tell me once he visited you after he died?
Well, he had died a year before I knew anything about him. I was invited to Penny Kelly's farm, and she told me about him. And then when I went back for his wake a month later, I was staying at her house, and the very first night I was there, I saw him walk through the door, right through a wooden door with my own eyes or mind. And I remember very clearly seeing him come right up to the bed, and I pulled up the covers, and he said the very same words of the first time that I had met him. And again, it was after he had died. But the message was, I orchestrated this, and I'm really glad you're here. So from the other side, it appears that Lefty had chosen me to meet Penny and to create these films, because believe me, it was not on my bucket list. This was not something I had ever planned. And had I known how dangerous it was, I probably wouldn't have done it. But if you go to slide number 21, I did win 5 little EBE awards, which are these aliens with a movie camera on their shoulder. So the films did get out, but it was really a difficult career where the hacking was unbearable. And then at the end, I got seriously wounded. I hesitate to talk about it, but I got hit with a directed energy weapon, and I have suffered for the last 5 years. And I luckily found this miracle molecule, which I'm just going to end the program with. It saved my life. I give it credit every day. I'm grateful for C60 Evo. It's the final frame, number 22. But I discovered this product that helped me to be able to walk and to tolerate the pain and to do life again like I have been, for the last 5 years of being strangely wounded and not being able to talk about it much. I've been to every kind of healer, and it's a challenge. That's all I can say. But the C60 Evo is a miracle molecule that's given me life in my limbs. I have energy, I sleep, and I have, it helps with the inflammation. It helps with an awful lot of things, but it was so important to my healing that I contacted the guys that own the lab that's been making it for 30 years with integrity, the only people in the world. And 2.5 years ago, we became partners, almost 3 years. And I opened the company with them, C60 Evo. And that's the evolution of C60, where we took this miracle molecule that was being used for all kinds of industrial uses, and we created it to be clean enough to be used for human consumption to the point where it would help people improve their health, and animals also can use it. But it's kind of one of those miracle things, that moving forward, we're probably going to be seeing a lot more CBD and who knows, THC for healing. But C60, carbon 60, the miracle molecule, we cleaned it enough in the manufacturing process to become ESS60, which is an upgrade, an evolution of the C60 miracle molecule. And that's all we sell at C60 Evo. So that's what I do now. Instead of making movies and touring in the crop circles, because I can't walk very well lately, I sit at home and I promote my company, and I do shows with amazing people like you, and I listen to what's going on in the world, which is absolutely stunning. And people say, how do you stay so calm? And I swear, it's the C60. This stuff is really, really good. And I was doing the olive oil flavor because it's by far the strongest, and all of a sudden I'm hooked on the coconut oil in my morning coffee. And you have to put in twice as much because it's got half as much C60 in it. But, oh, my God, I smell coconut and coffee all day long, and I love the energy. It's really smooth, and my intestinal system has really cleared out with the coconut oil ESS60. So
all right, we'll sorry, Patty, we got to take a quick time out here. We'll come back. We've got a few minutes left. We'll take some more questions from the YouTube live chat. I've got a few more questions. Filmmaker Patty Greer is with us as we continue to delve into crop circles right here. Stay with us.
Exploring theory, covering facts.
The truth goes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as self-evident. You're listening to Richard Syrett's Strange Planet. Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. We're now crossing a zone of turbulence. Please return your seats and food trays to their upright position and make sure your carry-on luggage is safely stowed. You're about to leave everything you know behind. This is Richard Syrett's Strange Planet.
Thinking about starting insulin? You must see show with Richard
Syrett from Zoomer Radio. To reach Richard, call 416-360-0740 or toll free at 1-866-740-4740.
All right, a few minutes remain with Patty Greer. Before I get back to the YouTube live chat questions, just try to make sense of it for us, if you could, in terms of what these images, particularly the fractals and the intricate geometric designs. What are they trying to tell us with those? Are they schematics or something? What do you think?
Well, I think that the sacred geometry are schematics for, again, I take them, I print them, I put a pin in the middle and spin them, and the sacred geometry turns into these propulsion devices or lighting schematics for ships, maybe. Again, I'm guessing. But when you spin these crop circles that are sacred geometry, it lights up a whole different pattern that does look like schematics for advanced technologies, yes. Different motors, different magnetic systems we've seen in a lot of the crop circles.
Is anyone pursuing that research on that front? Looking at these as schematics and trying to recreate this technology that's perhaps being communicated to us?
Yes, there are. There's a guy in Italy, Bartos, who's been working on a magnetic motor. But I'm sure that there's people all over the world that are learning from these formations, from these messages, from these patterns, and doing things about it. We're just not hearing about it, and needless to say, we're getting less and less news. One thing I don't think I've shown you before is the other thing that I found in crop circles and nowhere else on Earth are these stones that are slate covered in chalk. And they were in all the crop circles I was in, and they're always blasted open to where you can see the inside of the stone, and they were some black, some blue, some white, all different colors of slate, but surrounded by chalk. So I found that to be an interesting thing that whatever heated up the crop circles also blew these stones open, and they were everywhere.
That I'd never heard before. I mean, think about the energy required to blast open a rock like that.
They were everywhere, and they were always blown open in half.
That's remarkable. YY asks, what percentage of crop circles are made by quote unquote good guys versus quote unquote bad guys, like angels versus demons? I mean, that's an interesting thought. I never thought of that. Is it possible that there are also negative entities behind some of these, or is it all positive from what you can tell?
Well, again, I can't answer that because I don't know, but the real crop circles that are naturally sent up from the inside of the Earth are from, in my opinion, the Earth herself, a positive, loving Earth. And the ones that are done by humans on camera for TV shows or BBC would be the negative ones, that are done with the intention of tricking people. So, there's not much in the middle. I don't think the military is creating crop circles, but we do have people with boards and ropes doing it for TV and newspapers.
And again, I know I asked you this earlier, but why is the military so intent on preventing us from seeing these crop circles or understanding what they are? Why are they so threatened by them?
Well, I think it's the same entity working against us that's working against the free energy teams, the advanced technology. We've got a deep state that's not working in the best interest of humanity. And that's the war we are in right now, World War III, the information war. And I realized that it's been going on, since halfway through my career. I was very lucky in the beginning to be with all those four-star generals, and some astronauts used to come to the gigs in the beginning. I mean, it was really exciting back then, but I think we've lost a lot of the grace of all the scientific fields because the deep state is trying to hide the important information, which is every show that you do. Richard, day after day is, information that is important to get out to people that's being hidden and suppressed. William Levengood took it for the team, and then I took it for the team. So it's really exhausting, but the movies are made. The movies are out. And I'm very proud of the body of work that I still couldn't tell you any of the parts of the camera that I used. But it was the greatest chapter of my life. I don't think I've ever been on a magical adventure like this, and I will be grateful forever, even though I've got a bad limp. I have really had some exciting times in the crop circles of England, and I know for a fact that they're real, and I believe that they are information to help bridge the gap of Earth and us and ETs, because you can see crop circles from up above. Flying over them is where we get the best photos. And so you can imagine, the other planetary beings or other dimensionals that are flying over us also get to read the messages. So perhaps crop circles are for the ETs just as well as humans. And I think that it is. It's to bridge a gap between all of us and the Earth, who's been acting in our best interest since the beginning of time and will continue to do so. So who knows what crop circles are coming in the next few years. I hope we have an Earth to, for her to land her messages on. The way things are going, it's definitely nip and tuck, but we have a lot of information that's been given to us on psychic and sacred and Earth levels. Crop circles are definitely one.
Well, given what's happening in the world, we just have a few minutes here right now, and how these crop circles often reflect what's happening or is about to happen. What any guesses at what we might see in either England or France this summer?
I have no idea.
A likeness of, I don't know, the Ukrainian flag or Vladimir Putin, or who knows, a tank.
It's funny. My brain was seeing flags. I mean, it's funny you would say that, because the American flag is what I saw. And the Ukrainian flag is what you mentioned. We're in such peril across the world right now. And we are not only in this information war, but we're also in this glut of information. So, all the busting we're doing is the disclosure. It's not like waiting for the government to give it to us. It's really about the people bringing it. And we are a part of it, Richard. We've been at it for a long time. And the more people start talking to their neighbors and talking to their family and friends fearlessly, the sooner we're going to have more people in agreement to make a difference here for the better.
Final question comes from the YouTube live chat from Thinker. Thinker asks, what was the strangest crop circle you've ever seen or entered, Patty?
I'd say the strangest one I've ever seen was the virus crop circle. That thing, the blob, was really gross. And it was different than any crop circle because it didn't fall into any category other than, I guess, pictogram, which is a picture. But that blob of a virus, to me, was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Right, complete with spike proteins. Absolutely. All right, Patty. Just when I think, I've heard it all about crop circles, you bring something else to the table that I wasn't aware of. I learned a lot, as usual. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Be well.
Thank you, and you be well, too.
Patty Greer, cropcirclefilms.com, cropcirclefilms.com. All right, that's it for me. My thanks to Carlos and Ryan. I'm back next week with a brand new program. I mentioned Ryan Peterson and I guess it's a documentary, The Final Nephilim. In the meantime, don't be afraid. There's nothing concealed that won't be revealed, and nothing hidden that won't be made known. What you hear in the dark, speak in the light. What I say in a whisper, proclaim from the housetops. Move over, Aphrodite. I'm coming home.
A new Richard Syrett's Strange Planet drops every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Subscribe at strangeplanetpodcast.com.
Hey, 'tis the season to give the perfect gift. C60 Evo organic oil elixirs and facial serum sets. And here with another sleep tip is our good pal, Chris Burrows, co-founder and chief scientist at C60 Evo. Hey, Chris, welcome back.
Richard, thank you so much for having me. My next tip regarding getting better sleep is related to electronic devices. So we all have these, this cell phone lying around, or we're using it on a regular basis. What a lot of people don't realize is that those devices give off blue light. That blue light is actually tells our bodies, the only time naturally that we see blue light is at the peak of the sun. So when the sun is up at its peak at noon. And so what those devices do, including your computer terminals, your cell phones, your tablets, is they convince our physiology that it's the middle of the day. You can imagine that if you're watching your cell phone or tablet at 10 p.m. and you've somehow convinced your physiology that it's the middle of the day, this is not good for sleep. So it's really important. Most devices have actually blue light blockers, and you can just go out and Google and how to blue light block on my Samsung device or Apple device, or even on your PC or your Mac. Make sure you turn that on. I know people who leave it on all day so that they're never impacted by that blue light. I would recommend 2 hours before the sun is setting in your local area to turn that on. Obviously, it doesn't work if you're working on videos or you're working on pictures, but try and turn that on 2 hours early. And the other thing regarding electronic devices, try to keep them out of the bedroom. I recommend that you actually put a charging station outside of your bedroom so that you just don't even bring it in your bedroom. These devices, as we've kind of been reading and hearing, are like geared to trigger our endorphin responses, and so we like to be on them. They keep them up. So keep it out of the bedroom and make sure you got your blue light blocker on about 2 hours before the sun sets. And I always like sharing sleep tips, because our most consistent testimonial for our product is that people take it in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night.
C60 Evo products deliver noticeable benefits to people and pets around the world. Immunity boost, deeper sleep, just like Chris said, more energy, mental balance, flexibility, and longevity. Please visit the website c60evo.com/Richard-Syret. And don't forget, use the coupon code EVRS at checkout, EVRS at checkout, and then you save an extra 10%. That can't wait. All right, Chris, we'll talk again next week. Thank you.